Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Joining us now, longtime Toledo Rockets play-by-play man Mark Beier to talk about Emmanuel McNeel-Warren. What should we know about EMAC, right? Is that what they call him, EMAC or EMC? What do they call him?
No, E-Man.
E-Man.
As in Emmanuel. His nickname is E-Man. It's what just about everybody calls him. Well, first of all, off the field, I think these are some things that I think the fans are going to love about Emmanuel McNeel-Warren. One is he wanted to be with his family on draft day. He didn't want to have open circumstance. He decided to see University of Toledo his senior year. And you guys know the kind of money that is floating out there in NIL with the portal. There had to be opportunities for Emmanuel Warren to go elsewhere to a P4 school. He stuck with his Toledo Rockets, much like Quinyon Mitchell did 2 years ago, and he was the number one draft pick Toledo that plays for the Eagles. And here's the third thing, too, and I think this has really separated him from a lot of the high-drafted players. Most of them will pass on their bowl game. Emmanuel felt like to be with his teammates. Even though the head coach had left to go to UConn, Jason Candle, he still played in the bowl game. And, guys, he wasn't 100%, but he was still out in the football field with his teammates. Those three things as a person and what kind of player he's going to be in the locker room. On the football field, I think the video speaks for itself. He's a hard hitter. He creates fumbles. He really has an interesting ability to have a nose for the football, to know where to be at the right time, and have the blazing speed at Indy during the combine. He has football speed, and he just has great instincts.
So do you expect him to come into the league and have the success that Quinyon had right away? I mean, do you think he'll be a full-time starter from day one? Do you think it'll take him some time? Like, I know that's probably impossible to answer, but you know the player, you know his personality, his maturity level, and his ability to retain information and take it to the field.
Well, Dustin, I think they didn't draft him in the second round to be a part-time player or a special teams guy. Right. I think he's going to be on the football field. And then time will tell whether or not he's good enough to keep that job. But I think while it's not a guarantee, I'd be very shocked if he's not in the starting unit on what should be a pretty darn good defense this year. And I think he'll complement, and certainly at the back end. But as I said, he will put his helmet right into a player and create contact, even though his weight isn't maybe what some would expect for a guy that's 6'3", but he's a really hard-hitting football player.
So, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was watching a video of him, when he got drafted, went back and watched some of his interviews. E-Man seems like just a real laid-back guy off the football field, ferocious on the football field. What type of leader is he?
Well, I think just the fact that he played in the bowl game tells you a lot about him, how important it is to be with his teammates and how much the teammates think of Emmanuel and how much he thought of his teammates to stick around for another year. The one thing that's really interesting, we're seeing a lot of this, guys, at college level in football and in basketball. Guys are looking for the big bucks. But sometimes it doesn't work out so well for them, where they kind of get lost in the shuffle, where if you stay right where you are, scouts are going to find you. And Emmanuel McNeel-Warren's a perfect example. Toledo's had 3 draft picks in the top 3 the last 3 years. Number 1, Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Alexander, a third-round pick by the Giants last season, and then Emmanuel McNeel-Warren this year. So getting back to your leadership aspect, I just think he's like one of those quiet leaders, not a real vocal, emotional guy, but he brings it every game, and that's what you're looking for, consistency. I never heard a bad thing from any of the coaches when it came to Emmanuel McNeel-Warren.
How much interest was there in him and NIL money and in leaving? How many are you aware of how many offers he had or where he could have gone?
I have no idea. I really don't, and I'm not privy to that kind of information. Toledo did a great job the last couple of years of holding on to players. In fact, they attracted quite a few, and be honest with you, their 8-4 season last year was very disappointing. And Dustin, you followed the Mid-American Conference quite a bit.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. So, but they held on to their players. Now, will they continue to do that? I don't know. New head coach, who I really like, Mike Jacobs, who, by the way, has a Cleveland connection. Mike Jacobs, who grew up in Maumee, played for Ohio State as a long snapper. First head coaching job was at Notre Dame College, right in Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
And then moved on to Lenore Ryan, Mercer, and now the head coach at the University of Toledo. And let me point something else to you guys about the Browns and Toledo, the connection there. You may not, but Spencer Spano has a Toledo connection. His offensive line coach at Utah was Jim Harding, who is now at Michigan. And Jim Harding was a starting offensive lineman for the Toledo Rockets under Gary Pinkel back in the late 90s, and his last year was 2000. So there's a little Toledo connection there, in addition to the number of Toledo players who have worn the brown and orange in Cleveland. Guys like John Greco, third-round pick. Andrew Hawkins, free agent. Kareem Hunt, of him before, third-round pick, played for a long time. And, of course, E-Man. And here's one other one. I love to bring this one up because he wasn't with the Cleveland Browns for a long time, but he was a terrific quarterback. And, Dustin, you may remember him, Bruce Gradkowski.
Oh, yeah.
Who played at Toledo. And he was with the Browns for a cup of coffee. But he has the distinction that most Cleveland quarterbacks over the last 30 years do not have. Bruce Gradkowski is the starting quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, won at Pittsburgh, his hometown.
Yeah, it's a crazy how tight these circles are, but I do want to ask you though, Mike. So Mike Jacobs, I played with him for one season at Ohio State. I was a freshman in 2001, and he was a senior. I've obviously followed his career from afar. I'm fascinated. I mean, Toledo has had so much success. It's been a pipeline of coaches, to go on to bigger and better things. We had Matt Campbell before Jason, and Jason was there forever, and decides to move on to UConn, and now in comes Mike Jacobs. What is it about Toledo and how you guys have been able to build such a factory of just success? And obviously in the MAC, you guys are by far the most attended games by your fans. It's impressive what you guys do there in the Glass City.
I agree, and I've been around it since 1995, and it's a special place. And sometimes it's under the radar because it is a G6 program. But they enjoy a lot of success there, not only on the football field, but in basketball, although they have not made it to the NCAA tournament since 1980. But they're always competitive every year, and they have been picked clean as far as quality players because of the NIL. Just lost their starting point guard to Kansas. But, it's a special place. I did a fundraiser a couple of years ago for Coach Todd Kowalczyk. And at that time, our women's basketball coach had been here 16 years. Jason had been here 15 years, and Todd Kowalczyk had been here 14 years. And we had an athletic director that was here for 20 years. It's just once people come here, they find out it's a really terrific place as far as the college atmosphere, and the athletics here is really something special. And I'm very fortunate to be part of it.
Mark, on your bio card at the bottom, it says you won Wheel of Fortune. We have to ask you about that. What's the story? Mike, our producer, said you won $20,000 on a trip to Aruba?
I think it was 27.
Mike underestimated. Yeah, we won a total of over $27,000, and all the credit goes to my lovely bride. She is a big Wheel of fan, and guys, if we had a half hour, I would tell you the long it took to get on that show that started way back in 2009. We ended up recording the show in 2022. COVID had a lot to do with it. There was a 3.5-year period between the time we were invited to be on the show. But here's a real quick story, and I apologize. This is really something unusual. But we were told after we did all the vetting and everything that we would be find out in 2 weeks if we were going to be on the show, if we were going to be invited. They would send it by mail. No email, no text, by mail. Look for it in your mailbox. So 2 weeks goes by after we were vetted and interviewed. Nothing in the mailbox on Tuesday. Nothing in the box on Wednesday. Looked in the mailbox on Thursday. in the mailbox. My wife and I are on our way to New York to see a Broadway show. Ask our son, check our mailbox, see if we got an invite to the Wheel of Fortune because we thought we did pretty good. Nothing in the mailbox. Saturday, we have a dinner reservation at Sardi's in downtown Manhattan before we see the Broadway show. We walk into Sardi's, and the maitre d' said, Mr. Beier, we have something for you. Hands me an invite, and it's an invite to be on the Wheel of Fortune. And it was our wedding anniversary weekend.
Oh, wow.
Come on. How cool is
No,
that?
true story. So that was in 2019. We finally all in 2022, went right before Thanksgiving, did the show, and it aired on February 15th in 2023, and we won a trip to Aruba. My wife kicked butt.
That's awesome.
My job, simple, guys, just spin that wheel that weighs 2,400 pounds.
What a great
amazing.
story. Well, thanks for the time, Mark. Thanks for the information on E-Man, and I hope you spent the money well.
See you in the fall at the Glass Bowl, Mark.
We did. Hey. Yeah, we loved Aruba. And one other thing, just hi to Jay, because we come from the same hometown, Sandusky. I was a
that's
Blue
cool.
Streak.
Yeah, there
He
you
was
go.
a Perkins Pirate.
Yeah. He
And
was.
my claim to fame is I played with Scott May when we were sophomores at Sandusky High School. And for those of you that follow college basketball, Scott May was on the national championship team at Indiana in 1976. The last team to go undefeated, by the way, in college basketball. And he was National Player of the Year.
Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate
See you in
it.
the fall, Mark.
Hey, guys, anytime. Take care, fellas. Appreciate having me on.
Appreciate you.
I thought
All right,
Dustin, real quick,